And we're talking about jewelry today and Tiffany and Company. They've got earnings tomorrow morning. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Yeah, my specialty, jewelry.
All right, so they got earnings tomorrow morning. What are you guys at LikeFolio seeing as far as data goes?
Yeah, so Tiffany's already warned that they had a pretty flat holiday season. And so a lot of negativity is already baked into the stock here. I think that's the first thing to get out of the way. But what we're seeing in our purchase intent mentions, which is where LikeFolio tracks what people are actually talking about buying. And with Tiffany's, they do like to talk about when they get that Tiffany's little blue box. They love to talk about that. And so we have pretty good data on it. And what we're seeing is actually a pretty decent little strength at the end of the chart there. You can see in green, this has been something that's been declining on a year-over-year basis until very recently. And so this pop at the end of the chart tells us that there's actually a possibility that while Tiffany's holiday sales may have been disappointing, that they may have a pretty good outlook going forward for the rest of the year. And so we think most of the bad news is out of the way on Tiffany's.
Andy, don't you think that if you're going to have a situation like Tiffany has, to pre-announce, do the responsible thing and pre-announce, and then you can turn the kind of the negative sentiment around? How does LikeFolio, or do you guys notice that in any of the data when firms pre-announce, like Apple did, right? Apple's $50 from when they pre-announced. Tiffany did kind of a similar thing. Do you guys get that in your data at all?
We try to stay focused purely on the stock price movement compared to the purchase intent movement. So how has the stock performed over a period of time, and how has our purchase intent data lined up with that? And then when there's a divergence there is when we see our biggest opportunities, like we saw with Apple a couple different times. And so with Tiffany's, we think pretty reasonably priced here. We think, the company did come out and warn, which, surprised us just a little bit. But looking forward, we're seeing some strength for the Tiffany brand that hasn't been there before. And so we think, you're right, Kevin. I think it's good that the company kind of got that bad news out of the way, and they can now focus on the future, which I think looks pretty bright, at least as bright as it's been for a while for Tiffany.
Yeah, hey, Andy, I just wanted a real quick question before we get to Jenny Horn here, is that a lot of your data was kind of forecasting after July's all-time highs that they hit about $141, you guys still had lower purchase intent mentions than where the stock was reacting. So do you see that continuing where you're seeing a little bit of downturn in your purchase intent mentions, even though the stock's kind of up about 21% so far this year?
Yeah, so you bring up a good point. And with Tiffany's, it's kind of interesting because it's a big ticket item, and so people are more likely to be talking about it, before the actual revenues register for the company. And so we did see that decline prior to their turnaround in July. What we're saying now is, we think that the stock has reacted accordingly. It's been a responsible sell-off. The bounce up 21%, like you mentioned, isn't bad. And our data is actually showing that there are signs of life, that maybe that decline is over in terms of consumer demand.
Gotcha. All right. For more on social media, let's bring in TD Ameritrade Network's own Jenny Horn. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, guys.
You like the little blue box.
Of course.
I'm sure
who doesn't?
It's always a good day when the little blue box comes home.
No one's ever mad to receive a little blue box, that's for sure. And that's definitely reflective on social media. But something I saw that I know Andy's data does not track is actually a lot of foreign language mentions. I mean, I'm deep into Twitter at this point, but I mean, people would like to talk about this not necessarily in English, which just shows Tiffany's broader market that they obviously are appealing to.
That's their growth areas overseas.
Exactly.
And people from other countries buying their products.
Tourism.
Here. Yeah,
it's
tourism.
amazing
it's huge.
what percentage of their income is from tourists.
Right.
And tourism.
And their holiday sales were disappointing, but not in China and Japan. So I mean, there is that bright spot overseas, which was definitely reflective on social media this morning. But our first tweet is from Jeff Mackey, who says, "It's deep blue something," which reminds me, Tiffany in the morning picking up some diamonds are a scam chatter, which diamonds are not a scam, because I saw pretty positive noise on social media today, and Tiffany's has done a really good job actually diversifying their product line to have lower end things without, I think, damaging their brand.
Yeah, the whole downplaying of of diamonds in general, it's a Venus and Mars thing.
I agree.
Guys don't believe in diamonds like women believe in diamonds.
Well, now they have those manufactured diamonds that people can't tell the difference, and they're lower priced.
A woman knows it.
Yeah. Okay, you bring them home then.
Jenny, you got another tweet for us?
I do. Our next tweet says, anyone purchasing these $1,500 18-karat gold paper clips from Tiffany Co. I just ordered 50 because store of value. So this always cracks me up because they have this everyday product line that's like paper clips and paperweights that are like $10,000. It's absurd. I don't know. Andy, do you see this at all in your purchase intent data? They do have these objects that are kind of ridiculous, but people love them.
People love talking about them. I don't think anybody's really buying them. I think it's a great marketing gimmick that works really well for Tiffany's to list those type of things on their website. But Jenny, you made a great point about, the kind of the international exposure that Tiffany's has, which is huge, and I think is the big driver of growth. The one thing I will say, while our data primarily only tracks English speaking, what we see time and time again with luxury goods like this is that it's actually, the popularity in the United States is a good bellwether for what the popularity will be internationally 6 months, 12 months down the line. So seeing a rebound in Tiffany's in our data, at least initially in 2019, is a good sign that even the international markets could be another source of even larger growth later in the year or into 2020.